Last month, your savings account balance went up. The number got larger, and at the same time, without any announcement, without any notification from your bank, the purchasing power of that larger number quietly contracted. Groceries cost more. Rent cost more. The car repair that was $400 2 years ago is $600 now. The balance grew and the wealth shrank simultaneously, and the bank sent you no letter about the second half of that transaction, because the bank profits from the half it does not mention. The Federal Reserve's own data shows that the dollar has lost 20% of its purchasing power since 2020. That is not a political statement. It is an arithmetic fact published quarterly by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. If you held $50,000 in savings across that period, you lost nearly $10,000 in real wealth, silently, without a single market event, while the number in the account appeared to grow. I have been working through a set of handwritten ledgers from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, for 3 years. 44 years of financial records belonging to a man named Ezekiel, 1887 through 1931. His community lived through 4 significant inflationary periods across those decades, including the 1915 to 1920 inflation that eroded American cash savings by over 50%. In Ezekiel's ledger, there is no record of wealth erosion from any of them. Not because he was lucky, because his community had built something that every video in this series has been circling toward: a 3-part system for storing wealth in a form that inflation structurally cannot reach. The last piece of that system, the one recorded in the entries I almost missed in the back of his 3rd ledger, is the piece that makes the other 2 complete. By the time this video ends, you will understand all 3 and why the Federal Reserve can raise rates, print currency and adjust policy indefinitely without touching a single dollar of wealth stored the way Ezekiel stored his. Stay with me. Bureau of Labor. Statistics' own data confirms a 20% cumulative purchasing power loss between 2020 and 2024, the steepest 4-year erosion since the 1970s. That loss did not arrive with a headline. It arrived silently, one grocery receipt at a time, while the number in the savings account appeared to grow. The money was still there. It just bought less, and it will buy less again next year, at whatever rate the Federal Reserve's monetary decisions produce. An institution whose operational history demonstrates no particular concern for what its mandate costs the individual household, whose savings it inflates away at 4 times the rate the bank is paying in interest. Ezekiel's community lived through 4 inflationary cycles across those 44 years, including consumer price increases of over 80% between 1915 and 1920. His ledger shows no wealth erosion from any of them, because his community had constructed something no savings account, no bond, and no conventional financial instrument has ever reliably provided: a store of value that inflates with the economy rather than against it. The foundation of the Amish inflation protection system is a principle so structurally simple that its power is easy to underestimate on first encounter. The Amish do not store wealth in currency. They store it in productive capacity. Land that grows food, animals that reproduce, skills that generate income, equipment that produces output, community infrastructure that generates collective returns. None of these assets lose purchasing power when a central bank expands the money supply, because their value is denominated not in dollars, but in what they produce. And what they produce does not become worth less because there are more dollars in circulation. An acre of farmland that produces $2,000 worth of food in a low inflation year produces $2,400 worth of the same food in a 20% inflationary period. The land did not appreciate. The dollar depreciated. The productive asset automatically adjusted. Ezekiel's community called this principle Sachwert, real value or asset value, as opposed to Geldwert, money value. The distinction is not philosophical. It is the most practically important concept in long-term wealth preservation. And it is the concept that the entire financial services industry is structurally motivated to obscure. The moment households understand Sachwert clearly, The appeal of holding wealth in bank deposits, savings accounts, and currency-denominated instruments, all products that generate fees, float income, and management revenue for financial institutions, diminishes significantly. A household that stores its wealth in productive land does not need a savings account. A household that does not need a savings account is a household that has removed itself from the fee structure that the banking industry depends on to function. The industry does not suppress this knowledge through any dramatic mechanism. It simply never teaches it and fills every available channel with alternatives that keep wealth inside the currency system where it can be intermediated and charged for. Here is the mathematics of Sachwert against conventional savings across a realistic inflationary period. $50,000 held in a savings account, earning 2% annually across a decade, with 4% average annual inflation, loses approximately $10,000 in real purchasing power over 10 years. The nominal balance grows from $50,000 to roughly $61,000. The real purchasing power of that $61,000 in year $1 is approximately $41,000. The account gained $11,000 in nominal terms and lost $9,000 in real terms. The bank collected its margin on the float the entire time. The same $50,000 deployed into productive land, generating a conservative 4% annual yield in food, timber, or rental income, holds its real value exactly, because the yield tracks inflation by definition. The land produces output. The output has market value. The market value rises with the general price level. The wealth is preserved not by earning a return above inflation, but by being denominated in something inflation cannot erode. One is a number in a database. The other is an acre producing food whose price rises with everything else in the economy. This is what Ezekiel's ledger documents across 4 decades. His household's wealth was not held in cash or currency-denominated instruments. It was held in land, in livestock, in equipment, in community lending positions through the Bruderschaft system, and in the productive capacity of the household itself, the skills and labor that generated income regardless of what the dollar did. When the inflation of 1915 to 1920 eroded the purchasing power of cash savings by over 50% for households holding conventional bank deposits, Ezekiel's household held assets whose output value rose with the same price increases that were destroying cash savings elsewhere. The wheat that cost more to buy cost more to sell. The land that was worth more in inflated dollars was worth more as collateral in the Bruderschaft circle. The skills that commanded higher wages in a higher price economy commanded higher wages for Ezekiel's household too. He did not beat inflation through clever investment. He was structurally immune to it because he had nothing denominated in the thing that was inflating. Now here is the turn in this story that requires the precision I have been building toward across every video in this series, because this is the piece that connects everything. The Amish inflation protection system is not simply about holding land instead of cash. That observation alone is incomplete and would be dangerously misapplied by anyone who took it as the full conclusion. Buying land without the community infrastructure that Ezekiel's system provides is just illiquid asset concentration, not inflation protection. The complete system has 3 components that work together, and removing any one of them breaks the protection the other 2 provide. The first component is Sachwert, productive asset denomination, which we have already covered in detail. The second is what Ezekiel's ledger describes as the Vorratswirtschaft, the provision economy. Every Amish household maintains productive capacity above its immediate consumption needs. The surplus is held as a physical reserve that hedges against both inflation and supply disruptions simultaneously. When prices rise, the household does not pay higher prices for what it already holds. When supply chains fail, the household does not depend on markets that have failed. The Vorratswirtschaft is not hoarding. It is systematic buffer stock management at the household level. And the modern financial system has no equivalent for it because it cannot monetize it. The third component is the one I found documented in those specific entries in Ezekiel's third ledger that I've been referencing across this series. The entries dated 1919 to 1924, during and immediately after the most severe inflationary period of his recorded lifetime. What those entries show is a community practice called the Wertausgleich, the value equalization, when inflation eroded the nominal value of Bruderschaft loan repayments, meaning a borrower was repaying in dollars that were worth less than the dollars originally lent. The community did not absorb the loss silently the way a bank does, and it did not penalize the borrower the way an inflation-adjusted commercial contract would. It recalibrated. The Wertausgleich entries show community deliberations in which loan terms were reviewed against current productive output values, and repayment schedules were adjusted to reflect real economic conditions rather than nominal dollar amounts. The lenders accepted slightly less in nominal terms. The borrowers contributed slightly more in productive output. The real value of the transaction was preserved for both parties, and the community's collective balance sheet emerged from the inflationary period intact. This is the entry I returned to more times than any other in those 3 volumes, because what it documents is a community that had solved in 1920, without a financial advisor or an inflation-indexed instrument, the problem that the modern Treasury Department introduced TIPS to address in 1997. The solution cost nothing. It required no government program. It required only a community willing to treat real value as the contract, rather than the nominal figure written on the page. No commercial financial institution operates this way. Banks hold nominal contracts and extract nominal repayments regardless of what inflation has done to real value. The Wertausgleich eliminated that asymmetry entirely by treating the real economic relationship as the contract, not the nominal dollar figure attached to it. The modern investment industry offers products it describes as inflation protection. Treasury inflation-protected securities, commodity funds, real estate investment trusts. These instruments provide partial, imperfect, fee-bearing approximations of what Ezekiel's system delivered structurally and at zero cost. TIPS adjust for official CPI figures that historically understate experienced inflation for most households. The Bureau of Labor Statistics has documented consistently that lower-income households experience inflation rates 1 to 2 percentage points above the headline CPI figure, because they spend proportionally more on food, housing and energy, the categories that inflate fastest. Commodity funds introduce volatility and management fees that erode the inflation protection they claim to provide. REITs provide real estate exposure but interpose a corporate structure between the investor and the asset, extracting fees and introducing counterparty risk that direct ownership eliminates. None of them replicate the Sachs-Wirt principle at the household level, because none of them convert the household itself into a productive asset that generates inflation-adjusted output directly. They are products. Ezekiel's system was a structure. The difference is that products generate revenue for the people who sell them. Structures generate wealth for the people who build them. I am not selling anything. No program, no guide, no course. What I am asking you to do is look at where your savings currently sit and ask one honest question. Is this wealth denominated in dollars, or is it denominated in what dollars buy? A savings account is denominated in dollars. An acre of productive land is denominated in food. A set of marketable skills is denominated in labor value. A community lending position is denominated in relationships and reciprocal obligations. The Federal Reserve cannot inflate food. It cannot inflate the value of a skill the market needs. It cannot inflate the reciprocal obligation of a neighbor who owes you. It can only inflate the dollar. And Ezekiel held his wealth in things the dollar could not reach. He passed that wealth to the next generation intact across 44 years and 4 inflationary cycles. The Federal Reserve's decisions affected his neighbors who held cash. They did not affect Ezekiel because Ezekiel had structured his household so that there was nothing in cash worth affecting. Leave one word in the comments. The asset you own right now that inflation cannot touch. Not a stock, not a savings account, not a bond. Something whose value is denominated in what it produces rather than what the dollar says it is worth. If you cannot think of one, that is the most important thing this video told you. I read every comment. And that word tells me that this community has understood what this entire series has been building toward. The complete picture of how one group of people farming the same land in Lancaster County for 200 years constructed a financial system so structurally sound that inflation, debt, insurance premiums, rental extraction, vehicle depreciation, and educational debt all pass through it without leaving a mark. Ezekiel did not have a financial advisor. He had a ledger, a community, and a principle. The principle was Sachwert, and it has been waiting in those pages for anyone willing to look.